Hey everyone, Christina Simmons from Say Yes to Holiness here. And we're now back in ordinary time. And a lot of people will be like, ordinary time, isn't this kind of a boring time? Well, a former pastor of mine once said, the ordinary is extraordinary. And why is that? Well, Jesus actually models that for us because of his very life. And what do I mean by that? Well, Jesus spent 30 years doing the ordinary. He spent 30 years living in a family. He spent 30 years learning a trade and practicing that trade. We all know that he was a carpenter. So the fact is that Jesus shows us that the ordinary is extraordinary. And how can we make sure that it is extraordinary? Well, holiness is the ordinary made extraordinary. And we do this by sanctifying the things that we do each and every day. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's 5 different things that we can be attentive to. The first is that we can go about doing our work conscientiously. We can be diligent as we do our best. And for example, if we're doing household chores, so doing our best to fold the laundry well, or to do the dishes, or if we're at work, to create an Excel spreadsheet, or to put together a project with a group of people, and to do the best that we can as we do it, so that when we are done, our best effort is presented. So to work conscientiously is the first thing that we can do to help sanctify our day. The second, as we go about doing our work conscientiously, is to remain in God's presence while we are working. Now, how can we do that? It's like I have to be focused upon doing the task that's at hand, so how can I be in God's presence at the same time? Well, we do that through little subtle reminders. So for example, this is why we have holy statues or images that are in our midst. So be it at work, we could have a small little, picture of Jesus, at our workstation, or we can have a statue of Mary, for example, in my kitchen so that I see her as I'm doing dishes. So these are ways that we can do that. Or we can be listening to a podcast as we go about different chores, things that don't engage our mind completely, and we're able to listen to a podcast. So we could listen to something like Bible in the Year, or you can listen to the Say Yes to Holiness podcast. So that's another way that you can keep God's presence about you as you're doing work. And of course, the rosary. The rosary is the ultimate of all keeping God's presence with you as you go about your work throughout the day. The third thing that we can do in order to sanctify our day is to live charity with those around us. And that can be something as simple as making the bed when our spouse didn't make the bed, and going about doing it. Dishes, laundry, mowing the lawn, all the different various household chores that are around us. It could be watching a TV show that they want to watch. Maybe you've seen the latest episode of The Mandalorian, and they want to watch it again. Or it could be the latest MCU movie, or whatever it is that they so enjoy. But that is a way of living charity. It's of expressing love. It's about willing their good. It's also at work, reminding someone of a deadline that's coming up, or maybe a meeting that you know that they should be in 5 minutes, but they seem to have forgotten that they have to be there. Or it could be picking up lunch, and getting lunch for someone, or willing to pay the tab if that's is possible for you. All these different things that we can do to live charity with those around us. The fourth is, and this is something I struggle with a great deal, is accepting contradictions without complaining. So someone says one thing, for example, and then they go about and do something else. Not complain about it and point it out, but rather to simply accept it. And a good way that I have found is to pray for that person who is that contradiction, and not complain about it, but rather to pray that they will become in alignment with what it is that they say. Or this can be something as simple as a work regulation of where you're told that you need to be someplace to do something, but then it doesn't matter that you were in that place for that something. So these contradictions, someone says something's important and then it's obvious that it's not. But for us to accept these things without complaining. And the fifth is for us to have relations with others that not just help them, but also help bring them closer to God. This is that fifth way that we can sanctify each and every day. And St. Jose Maria Escriva writes, "The ordinary life of ourselves among our fellows is not something dull and uninteresting. Rather, it is there that the Lord wants the vast majority of his children to achieve sanctity." So this week, remember, the ordinary is extraordinary because it's how we will each have the opportunity to become a saint. If we are attentive to those 5 principles that I shared today, working conscientiously, trying to remain in God's presence while we do that work, live charity with those around us, accept contradictions without complaining, and finally, not just helping others, but our relationships truly helping others come to know God. In this way, we sanctify each and every day, and we get to move closer and closer to being the saint that God created us to be. I hope this has served you. God bless.